Have you ever noticed how most people aren't defeated by failure? They're defeated by stopping too soon. They quit at the edge of progress when the breakthrough was just inches away. That's why average people stay average. They quit in the season of testing. They give up in the moment of frustration. They surrender when the reward was right around the corner. Think about digging for gold. Imagine you've been in the mine for months, swinging the pick, tired, sweaty, exhausted. You turn back because you can't take another hit. But if you had taken 3 more swings, there it was. Treasure beyond imagination. This is not just a story about mining. This is a story about life. Most people quit in the dark when success is just about to rise with the dawn. Average people stop because the work feels endless. They stop because the progress feels invisible. They stop because the results haven't shown up yet. But winners, champions, legends, they keep going when it feels pointless. They push through when the reward isn't in sight. That's the only difference. And it's enough to divide lives into 2 categories, those who stopped inches away and those who dug deep enough to find what they were looking for. The contrast is everything. Average people let emotions rule their actions. They feel tired, so they stop. They feel unmotivated, so they wait. They feel unseen, so they sulk. But winners don't bow to feelings. Winners rise on discipline, consistency, and faith in the process. The average stops when discouraged. The extraordinary pushes precisely at that point, because they know discouragement is always the gate before the breakthrough. Understand this. The test of life never comes at the start. It comes in the middle, when you've invested time, when you've sweated and sacrificed, but you still can't see results. That's when most people decide it isn't worth it. But guess what? That's always when you're inches away. The resistance is strongest at the edge of transformation. The night is darkest just before morning. Your mind will scream that it's useless, but that's just proof you're close. Let me ask you, how many dreams have you abandoned inches from reality? How many times have you looked back later and realized you were progressing, but you let frustration rob you at the finish line? That's the tragedy of quitting too soon. Nobody remembers the almost. Nobody celebrates the nearly did it. The world only crowns those who stayed in the fight long enough to cross the line. Think about athletes. The hardest moments are not the first steps. It's the last 10 meters, the last few seconds, the last repetition. That's when the body screams to quit. That's when exhaustion convinces most people to fall short. But the champions? They know that last stretch is the separator. The difference between tried and won. The space where average people collapse, but great people conquer. And that's why calm endurance is destructive to your enemies. They expect you to quit. They expect you to surrender under pressure, to fold in pain, to stop when nobody's clapping. Every time you refuse, every time you keep pressing forward while average people fall away, you surprise them. You prove again you are not built like them. You are built to finish. The truth is, most people don't fail because they aren't capable. They fail because they stop carrying the weight, and life does not reward those who carry it halfway. It rewards those who walk it all the way to the summit. So hear me when I say, if your dream feels heavy, if progress feels invisible, if you want to quit today, remind yourself, this is the test. This is proof you're close. You're inches away. Quitting feels comfortable, but it costs your destiny. Pressing feels painful, but it delivers your life's treasure. That's the contrast. And you must decide, comfort now and regret forever, or pain now and victory forever. Average people love the start. They love excitement, momentum, the novelty of new beginnings. But the middle? The grind? That's where they can't survive. They mistake waiting for wasted time. They mistake silence for absence. They think difficulty means denial. But true fighters understand, the middle is not where you break, it's where you build. It's where character is forged, where patience is trained, where discipline replaces hype. Success is not far. It only feels far when your emotions lie to you. Inch by inch, step by step, you are closer than you think. But you must decide not to stop. You must push past the boredom, the discouragement, the loneliness, the silence. Because silence is not failure, silence is incubation. Growth doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes seeds stay underground long before they break the surface. That doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means everything is happening out of sight. That's why average people miss it. They want results bigger than their persistence. They want rewards faster than their patience. They want applause sooner than they deserve. But winners plan for the delay. Winners expect the silence. Winners run for miles beyond the point where most people collapse, because they know that's where the finish line is hidden. Don't you see? Life itself is designed to separate the average from the relentless. Pressure is the battlefield. Tiredness is the sorting ground. When most people quit, that's your signal. You're closer than ever. Because if the journey was easy, everyone would finish. But difficulty is the filter that produces greatness. So let me tell you directly. The longer you've been in the grind, the heavier the struggle, the more tired you are, the closer you are to the goal. Don't step away now. Don't throw away months or years of progress in the moment of silence. Don't quit when you are inches from breakthrough. Ask yourself right now, which kind of person will you be? The average who stops at the border of success, or the uncommon individual who pushes past the ordinary, who keeps walking until the treasure is truly theirs? Because the only difference between history makers and history forgetters is this: the forgetters quit inches away. The makers never stop swinging until the gold is in their hands. There is a cruel irony hidden in the way most people approach their goals. The beginning asks for enthusiasm, the middle asks for perseverance, but the finish? The finish asks for faith. Faith that the pain of today is proof of victory tomorrow. Average people lose that faith. They stop believing right before reality was about to shift in their favor. Inches away, they trade destiny for despair. Inches away, they let temporary doubt erase permanent reward. You are not average. You cannot be average. If you were average, you wouldn't still be listening right now. Deep down, something in you knows you have walked too far to turn around, sacrificed too much to surrender. You know, quitting will not make the weight lighter. It will only make the regret heavier. Regret cuts deeper than discipline. Remember that. Pain from persistence fades. Fatigue fades. Disappointment fades. But regret rots in your mind for years. Years from now, when you look back, you will either say, I pressed when it hurt, and that's why I won. Or, I gave in when I was close, and that's why I lost. Which story will you tell? That is why it's vital to reframe struggle. Struggle is not the end. It is evidence. It means you are standing at the door of transformation. If it wasn't close, it wouldn't be this hard. If you were far, you wouldn't feel the pressure pressing against you right now. The pain is not a stop sign. It's the final guard before your destiny. And you don't negotiate with guards. You fight through until the gates open. Average people let emotions speak louder than purpose. They quit for feelings, boredom, exhaustion, doubt. But the uncommon, they let purpose speak louder than emotions. Purpose whispers, keep going, because you weren't built to stop here. That whisper is enough to drown out the lie of fatigue, the distraction of impatience, the temptation of immediate comfort. There's a reason so many people never change their lives. They give up on day 90 of a 100-day process. They stop after 9 calls when the 10th one would have opened the deal. They try one more time at the gym, then skip the next session when 2 more weeks would have shown the transformation. That is the tragedy of being average. Inches away and still empty-handed, but not you. Because now you see, you understand the game. Your awareness is your advantage. The moment you identify the quitting impulse as false, you rob it of power. When your mind says, enough, you answer, I haven't even started. When doubt tells you it's useless, you remind yourself it's proof you're close. That ability to reframe is what turns average attempts into unstoppable breakthroughs. Picture the alternative for a second. Picture yourself years from now haunted by the thought that you were right there, and you walked away. That image should terrify you enough to push through today. But also picture this: you finish. You endure. You push those final inches. How powerful will it feel to look back and say you didn't stop when most people would have? That pride, that peace, is worth every ounce of pain in the process. So what do you do now? You do what winners always do. You decide before the test arrives. You lock in this truth. No matter how tired, frustrated, ignored, or delayed I feel, I will not stop inches away. You build a habit of finishing, whether it's a workout, a project, a commitment. Finishing is an identity. The more you finish when nobody's watching, the easier it becomes to finish when everything is on the line. Remember, success is rarely about giant leaps. It is about one more step repeated when most people collapse. It's about doing the unseen work on the days it feels pointless. It's about persisting when applause has faded and the results are still invisible. But invisibility is not absence. Transformation hides in silence, building beneath the surface. The harvest always follows, but only if you don't abandon the field. You are closer than you realize. Inches away. Do not stop. Do not fold. Do not betray yourself for the false comfort of quitting. Average people do that. But you must finish. You must cross the line. Because when you do, everything changes. And you will know the sweetest revenge over doubt, over struggle, over every critic was simply this: you endured and you won.